Alright, hi everyone. Sorry about the little delay. I had to restart my computer. The stream refused to work, so that's why I'm a little late. Alright, so for those of you who didn't see the video I made an hour ago, this live stream is going to be about vehicle handling. I'm going to show you how to change the tire values to change the drifting, burnouts, the suspension, steering, the RPM, the gear ratio, you know, all that stuff, so that you can really control the handling of the vehicle. If you just give it a few minutes for some people to actually see the stream. Alright, so first thing that's really important is getting the right size for your tires. Neat little trick I just found out about is to go onto the side view, and if you hold the middle mouse button, it'll actually give you a measurement, which now is 38. So that gives you a rough idea of the size of the wheels, just so that you get a value to start from. So basically, to adjust, sorry, that's the M4. So to adjust the wheel size, you're gonna grab the tires we created and adjust the size properly, radius of the wheel. And in order to just make sure that they're the right size, I created this little step so that we can really see if the tires are touching the ground or if the wheels are too small, like so. And so once you've got the right size for the tires, the next thing, there's another console command we can use to get some more debug information, in case you don't want to actually have a HUD. So if we just paste that console command, that console is going to be show debug vehicle. You can just manually type it in the console. Oops, and I forgot to respawn inside the vehicle. Alright. Okay, so now we get a lot of information, like the speed in kilometers per hour, the throttle input, brake input, steering RPM, what gear we're onto. So you get all the information you need to really tweak the vehicle. You even get to see the wheel collisions, which is kind of neat too, instead of using the other console command. So that really is nice to know. You can see they're a little thin, my collisions, but that's gonna be okay. Alright, another thing, because for convenience we're gonna deactivate the camera auto rotation so that we can look at the vehicle from the side when we're rolling. Okay, now that this is done, you even get to see all the friction values and, you know, really all of that stuff. So you can really use that console command to tweak your vehicle without spending the time to actually create a widget to display all these values, or you know, without rigging the needles. because I actually get the speed and RPM from there usually. But yeah, with that little console command, you don't need to do that. And you can bind this to a key too if you want. Like for example, if I bind it to it's gonna be hard to find, eh? Okay, keyboard event up. We're just gonna hook that in there so that we can toggle it on and off with the up arrow. Alright. Okay, so now that the console command is done, the first thing you may want to tweak is inside the vehicle movement. If you type in engine, you get all the engine properties. So first of all, max RPM for the BMW M4 I believe is 7,500. So you can set the max RPM. Now the torque curve is gonna affect the acceleration a lot. So basically what this tells is how much torque to apply for a certain RPM value. So the last value should always be your max RPM, of course. And so, alright, let's say we want to add a key here and modify that curve so that we lose less torque as the RPM raises. Okay, so changing that curve is gonna affect the acceleration, really how fast the vehicle gains speed. Next thing would be the gear ratio. So that'll be into the transmission setup here. You can see all the gear ratio. Basically, if you change these, that is gonna affect the top speed of every gear. So you can see gear 5 has let's say a value of 1. That's it's basically how much torque is applied to the wheel. So let's say gear 2, instead of 4, we actually multiply it by 2. The acceleration onto the first gear should be twice the speed it was, because it's 2 instead of 4. And as you can see, it is accelerating very slowly on the first gear. Gear 1. Alright, so let's put that back to 4. So you can, for example, make these values bigger to control the acceleration of each gear. Next thing would be the gear up and down ratio. Basically what that here does is tell what's the percentage of the max RPM we should switch gear at. So, sorry about that, I'm actually gonna take off the okay. So for example here, if we set it to 0.5, at half of the maximum RPM it's gonna gear up. If we set it to 0.9, at 90% of the maximum RPM it's gonna switch up. So depending on the curve you have set up for your RPM, this could there again make the gear up happen later and give you again more or less acceleration. So you can tweak the gear up and gear down ratios here, because you know, often race cars are gonna switch gear at a higher RPM and have torque, you know, have a torque curve that's gonna be more something like that. And so they're gonna switch where the torque is at the maximum instead of switching too early and lose that torque. So you can tweak these values to do just that. Another thing you can do is set up the gear switch time. See, right now it takes half a second. So you are on neutral for half a second every time you switch gear. You can make that longer, shorter, and adjust that as you want. And that's basically all that is gonna affect the acceleration and top speed of your vehicle. Of course, another thing is wheel size. As you may know, the bigger a wheel is, and the more, you know, forward speed you get for the same rotation. And so, but that's gonna have to do with your 3D model, so you can't really change that to a random value. So inside the vehicle movement, I believe that is pretty much everything. Now, of course, the next thing you can do here is adjust the steering. So what that curve does is multiply the steering speed by a given values depending on the speed you're going. So for example, the last key is located at 120 kilometers per hour. I believe this is kilometers per hour. Yes, it is. Okay. And so it multiplies the steering speed by 0.7 as opposed to 1 when you're not moving at all, actually. And so what that does is that when you go too fast, you can't steer as fast as when you go slow, and so that prevents you know, the wheel starting to drift as you steer because the steering is too fast. But you can change that. Sorry. So for example, if I set this value to 2 instead of 1, when I don't move, the steering is gonna happen twice as fast. So you can see as soon as I go a certain speed, it steers. Is this actually the steering speed or the max angle? Not too sure anymore. I believe this is the max angle, not the steering speed. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got that wrong, sorry about that. This is not the steering speed, it's the steering angle. So for example, in your front wheels, you set the steer angle to be 45 degrees. Then when you're not moving at all, you can steer the wheels to that 45 degrees. And when you go, for example, the last key 120 kilometers, then you get 0.7 of that. So that would be 45 multiplied by 0.7. You get 31.5 degrees instead of 45. And so, yeah, as I was saying, that prevents you from steering too much when you're going at a certain speed. And that can be tweaked as well. Okay, I believe the next thing we have to tweak is the wheel. So there's a lot of values in there that you may not really understand what they do. For example, the suspension force offset, which is not really useful anymore. It was useful a few updates ago, and then the Epic fixed it, so we don't need to play with it anymore. But you get the suspension max raise and max drop. This is basically telling how much the wheel can go up and down from the resting point. Resting point being the location of the wheels onto the rig model. So the wheels right now are at the resting point, and so the max raise and drop is gonna tell us how much the wheel can move from that location up and down. And the natural frequency and damping ratios are gonna affect the speed that the suspension can work at. Basically, natural frequency is gonna affect bounciness. It's gonna make the suspension more, like the old cars. Like it feels like you're in a boat because the suspension is moving all the time. And the damping ratio is gonna smoothen out those movements. So it's basically gonna tell the suspension how much it should bounce before it starts slowing down. So setting that value to, let's say, 2 instead of 11. See, the suspension is moving really slowly, right? It's actually super soft. And if you set it back to 7, let's say you set it back to 15. It's a lot stiffer. Now the damping ratio, for example, if we set it to 0.5, is also affecting how the suspension works. You can see the back of the car is moving way more than the front. So another good way to test those values is to lift the vehicle and actually not possess it and turn the spawn point toward it so that you see it falling. And then you really get to see the suspension at work and see what those variables are changing. Alright. So that was pretty much it for the suspension. The next thing is going to be these two values. These two values are going to control the friction of the tire. And so long stiff is forward friction. For example, when you're accelerating or braking, how much the wheels are going to slip on the ground. And lateral stiff value is going to control sideways friction, which is going to affect drifting. So for example, if we set the rear wheels to have 200 instead of 35 and This is the vehicle. You're gonna notice that the rear of the vehicle drift a lot less. It still drifts a lot, but less. Now, the next thing you can do to, let's say, prevent that drifting is to adjust the max load here. Basically, is what that does is that it multiplies the lateral friction by that number depending on the speed, so that the faster you go, the more lateral friction will be multiplied by. So let's say we multiply that by 15, which is a ridiculous value just for test purposes. You're gonna see that at high speed. See how the front is drifting so much? And how the rear is very controllable. How fast am I going? So yeah, adjusting those values is gonna help controlling how much the rear of the vehicle is gonna drift. So let me just put that back to normal value. Okay, so now that drifting, by the way, these values, I don't know what they mean, if I could say. By that I mean I don't know really what the values, what values are good to get the effect you want. So you're gonna have to play with these values, try out really high and really low numbers. We see how they affect the handling, and play around with them, get a feeling of them. And so this is a fairly long process actually. You can spend a lot of time doing that just to get it right. And so I'm not gonna make it perfect in this video. I'm just gonna tell you what each value does so that you can get your vehicle to drive properly. And so onto that, the next thing is the brake torque. I've been told that most of the braking, except for handbrakes, should apply to the front wheels. And so if you hold the brake and the throttle at the same time, you get to have a nice little burnout. And so onto the front wheels, it is 1500. And so onto the rear wheels, I've set it a little smaller. Not quite small enough. Oops. So let's say we set it like that. That should allow us to have some nice burnouts. But it doesn't. Oh, of course. Yeah, that's because of the way I've set up the input. It's because basically the throttle and the brake are onto one axis, so if I press both, it just gives us 0, so it's not trying to accelerate. But that can be fixed by setting up 2 different inputs for the throttle and the brake. But I'm not gonna do that in this video. But yeah, just so you know, you can play around with how much braking is going to be applied to each wheels to get those burnouts. And same for the handbrake. For example, are the wheels actually locking when I apply handbrake? Yeah, okay, they lock. So if I were to get the rear wheels and set that to 1000 instead of 3000, what that would do would be to, see, when I press the handbrake, the wheels don't quite lock. So you can play around with that value. Just to basically decide how much braking is going to be applied with the handbrake. See, back at 2000, the wheels just lock instantly at a certain speed. Like that. So let's say just put it back to default. Alright. Alright. So that was it for the tires. One more way that you can affect the drifting is by going into the vehicle movement and searching for inertia. Forward, right, up. So for example, y, which would be sideways inertia, if I multiply it by 10 instead of 1, now that's there again a ridiculous value, but that is going to make it so that there is 10 times more momentum sideways. And so it's gonna drift a lot more. And it's also gonna switch to the sides more when we turn, because it has more momentum. Now it doesn't seem to be doing much, but okay, for some reason Y is the top, which is not normal. Because it says onto that tooltip here, forward, right, and up. And up is Z, because this is not Unity, so also it's good to have some kind of visual reference when you are tweaking the vehicles. For example, the checkerboard material on the terrain. It helps a lot to see the drifting. And so inertia right there can help you get the drifting effect you want as well. So as far as handling, I believe this is pretty much all there is. You know, you get these torque curves. There's more values which are doing a lot of complex things, like a differential setup here, which I don't quite understand, but you know, you get quite a lot of choice. So for example, you can have open rear drive instead of four-wheel drive. which there again is going to be more prone to drifting, because you're only going to apply torque to the rear wheels. Alright. So, yeah, also for drifting and jumping and everything, you can tweak the mass of the vehicle, which is in kilograms. Right there. Drag coefficient. I think this has to do with momentum as well, which is also gonna help drifting. And so, yeah, it was actually really not that much values you can tweak around with. So if you guys have any questions on vehicle handling, now would be a good time to ask them in the chat. Oh, and hi Yamato and Cory. I just noticed your messages. So what else can we do? Oh yeah, also that video I posted about the FPS project. I'm gonna do really soon a tutorial about the day and night cycle. Sorry. No, I'm gonna do that quite soon actually, probably this week. I'm not gonna do it all over to show you everything, because it's a really super long process, but I'm gonna explain pretty much how to do it, because I believe it took me something like 6 or 7 hours to get the daylight system like all perfect so that it would look good. And I'm not gonna do a 7-hour long live stream, but yeah, I'll do a stream to cover the basics. And what else? Oh, right, that's right. I got to play around a little bit with some multiplayer stuff. And I should do tutorials on that too eventually. Another thing I've noticed is quite a few people asking on the forum about one controller controlling 2 players. To have some 2 people playing on the same keyboard, for example. I've seen quite a few games do that for their co-op. And so I got to play around with that. And I was wondering if you people would be interested in seeing how I actually do it. Yay, there we go. Alright, so this is what I did. Arrow keys are gonna move player 2 around, and WASD are gonna move player 1 with a spacebar to jump for player 1 and an enter for player 2. And that allows 2 people to play co-op on the same computer. without having split screen or doing it over the internet. I've seen a lot of questions about that on the forum. So I even did a camera that adapts so that it would always have both player on the screen. Oops, fail. So basically the camera positions itself between the two players and moves back so that both players are always going to be in the view field. Mostly. Alright. Now it needs a bit of tweaking still, but yeah, if you guys want to see how I did that, let me know in the comments. I could do a tutorial on that as well for co-op on the same computer. And hey, Vadim, would it actually help if I added subtitles to my videos? Like, can you read better than you speak English? Because I seem to have Google Analytics tells me that most of my audience is either from Brazil or from Russia, and a little bit in Germany as well. So I was wondering if adding subtitles to my videos would help you guys understand better what I say. Don't know if it's actually worth it. And I'm not actually too sure how I could add subtitles to live streams. I don't even know if it's possible actually. But I know I can download the videos after the stream is done and add subtitles to them. So yeah, just let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. And so yeah, that was pretty much it for that stream. What else did I wanted to say? I believe I've covered pretty much what I wanted. I believe next tutorial after the day-night system should be about sounds and drifting for the vehicle, like how to detect drifting, to apply effects on the ground and stuff like this, how to have some engine sounds that changes with the RPM and things like that. I should probably do that in the next tutorial. So yeah, just let me know what you're interested in seeing in the next tutorials, so so that I can make tutorials that are interesting to you. And so yeah, that was pretty much it for that stream, I guess. If you have any more questions on vehicle handling, things I didn't cover in the stream, I guess you're gonna have to ask them in the comments. As you probably already know, I try my best to answer all the comments I get on the videos, unless it's a question that I've answered in the video. So add port. Not too sure I understand that, Victor. Pursuit system. Subtitles in Portuguese. I don't actually speak Portuguese, so I don't think that's gonna be possible. But yeah, if someone actually want to do them, I think the viewers can add subtitles to the videos themselves if they want. Oh, okay, Victor. Yeah, that's part of the vehicle AI. Yeah, completely forgot about that. I guess I should continue the vehicle AI. Yeah, that's actually a very good idea. Alright, so more drifting stuff, sounds, and more advanced vehicle AI to come in the near future. Hi Vivek. So yeah, that was pretty much it for today. Because that live stream is already 40-minute longs. And how to set max speed of vehicle. Oh, right. Max speed, oops. It's actually not as simple as you would think to set the max speed. Unfortunately, setting up the max speed, you have to change the gear ratio and the maximum RPM. And as I already mentioned, size of the wheels too, which have to be, you know, proportionate to your 3D model. So let me just reopen the blueprint. Alright, so yeah, max speed is going to be affected by your RPM, which is also going to be affected by the torque curve. That's going to tell how fast the speed are going to spin for a given RPM value. Then you can come here and adjust the gear ratios to multiply that torque value for each gear, which is gonna be what's gonna decide of the max speed for all of the gears. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a you know, just a given float value that you can adjust to set the max speed, sadly. And yeah, I'll look it up on the YouTube subtitles functions. See how many subtitles I can add on the video. Because if I'm gonna add subtitles in several languages, it's gonna be hard to put them all on the screen at the same time. So I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, I'll try for the subtitles. I can't promise anything, but I'll try. Alright. And so, oh yeah, by the way, you can completely delete that that console command, because we can use this one to see the wheels collision, and it's actually a lot better because the showing physics collision were making the project lag a lot because of the landscape, and so that console command is much better to use. And you can hook it up to a keyboard key to toggle it on and off. So as you can see, we get to see the collision of the wheels, as well as a lot of values like speed and etc. So you can use that console command to adjust the wheel size and their position, of course. Like you can see here that they're a little bit too high, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You know, as long as it looks good, then you're good to go. Doesn't have to be like spot on perfectly. And so, yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna do a few changes to the camera system as well, which I probably won't do a stream about. But yeah, be sure to check the thread on the forum often for updates, as I don't always post a video when I do updates to the project. So yeah, just look it up often. And I think that was it for that stream. I've pretty much covered acceleration, speed, drifting, all of that. So it's actually really early in the morning here. Sorry if I'm kind of tired and rambling a little bit. Alright, so other than vehicles, is there any tutorials you guys would be interested in seeing? Because I feel like pretty much nobody is watching the streams on the Sphere game. And so I'd like to find a subject that people are going to be interested in. Other than vehicles. Please. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna actually stop the stream there. Victor, engine, sound, damage. Yeah, for the sounds, I'm actually gonna take the sounds from one of the samples just to show you how to set up the sounds. Tank threads. Oh, yeah, that would be absolutely awesome, actually. Yeah, I kind of like tanks too. I don't quite know how to do that yet, but I'm actually gonna look it up because you got me curious about that. I see a lot of videos about people doing physics for the tracks, the threads, sorry, but I've never actually done it, so I'll try to look it up, see what I can find. And I guess also on the topic of multiplayer and tanks, I probably should make a video about like one person driving the tank and the other person inside the turret, shooting the cannon and all of that. Traffic system would be great. Yeah, Victor, I can do that. You know, like GTA actually, just having cars, you know, following the roads, stopping on the lights and stuff like that. Pretty sure I could do that using just my waypoint that I've done. Desired speed, so I could even tell the cars to go at a certain speed. Yeah, I can do that. Basic traffic system. I'm not too sure how the engine is gonna handle that, having a ton of vehicle following waypoints, but I can give it a try for sure. So I'm actually gonna open Notepad, take a few notes. So, tank threads. More AI, sounds, drifting. What else? What else? Unite system. I'm gonna save that. subtitles. Alright. I guess I should also have some camera animations. Like, you know, in Need for Speed, when you're actually drifting, the camera shakes a lot. That could be a nice thing to have as well. Damage decals. Like paint scratches and stuff. Alright, so I got enough stuff for several videos again. So yeah, that little list here is what you should expect to see in upcoming videos. Well, not too sure about the tank treads yet, but okay, cool. Alright, so I'm gonna stop the stream there. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful. If you still have any questions about vehicle handling, or if you want a specific tutorial on any subject, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm very active in the comment section. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate them a lot. Yeah, if you speak another language and you're having trouble understanding, tell me, and I'll try to add subtitles. I can't promise I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna try. And so don't forget to subscribe and enable the notifications so that you get notified when I post a new video, so that you don't miss it. And that's it for today. So until next time.